I'm always hesitant to use a label about someone and say that person's an abuser and that person isn't. Now, some people might be shocked to hear that, because someone who's nice to people and generous and never nasty might sort of go, well, what's this Richard Mill saying? I'm not an abuser. That person's an abuser. Look what he's done to that weak, vulnerable person over there. And I'm not saying that no one ever abuses anyone. Abuse happens, and also there are zones where there is no abuse, and that's wonderful. So just let me finish this. So yes, I am willing to say, well, that person has been abusing, or has been abusive, or I'm very, very hesitant to say that person is this and that person is that. That person is a racist and that person isn't. I like the kind of curiosity and the questioning approach about looking for any aspect of humanity in all of us. To go back to what I was saying in another video, perhaps, about the wholeness of us all.
Building on what you just said, you said that you wouldn't label someone with abuser. So what would you say, and what's your reason for not using a label like that?
Okay, thank you for pinning me down on this, because it is important, because I suppose if I were a journalist or a legal person, or solicitor, or a police officer, or a social worker, I would probably readily use that word and say that person's an abuser, that person's a perpetrator, that person is a murderer. And that person isn't a murderer.
It's usually black or white with that sort of stuff, really.
Yeah. So let's say there's definitely a place to use that language. What I'm saying is, because I'm who I am and do this work so much, and so I'm so into this psychotherapy and counselling that I do, I don't come from that place, because I don't have a need to label anyone in my job. I don't have a need to say, well, that person's racist and that person's a saint, and that person's an alcoholic, and that person's not addictive, but that person's not an addict, and that person is an addict. I don't have to do that. I have the luxury of being able to take time in a therapy session, in a reflective space, to look at things from all angles, to sort through what's true for people, to notice that someone might be abusive in one moment and loving in another.
Yeah. Oh, right. That's why you don't use that label.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, yeah. Yeah. I guess like a lot of mental health, it's not black and white.
Now, if you're in a courtroom, you can't operate like that. You're just kind of trying to go, are they guilty or not guilty? Are they an abuser or not? And if you're a social worker, trying to work out whether you've got to put someone on a list at risk of perpetrating abuse, you have to make a decision whether to put them on the list or not. And whether to say they're an abuser or not, or they're a potential abuser. So, therapy is the therapy space, the therapy session, 50 minutes, and the continuing therapy process, going each week to see the therapist, is a special, unique place where we don't have to do this black and white tabloid newspaper thinking, or social worker or police, even though all these places have their place. It's different here. We can start to to acknowledge the truth as much as possible of who we are.
Mm. Mm.